Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I just wanted to do a live today because it's just a lot going on with the view, and it's just a lot to cover and do a video. I may do a video on it later, recorded, but I just wanted to come on and talk to everybody in regards to her book, which I think her book is actually coming out in 2 days or somewhere. I think the 21st or 23rd. Her audiobook is on Audible, and she's like talking, like she is saying a whole bunch of stuff. Ramin Setu O'Day, he's an Iranian. I'm assuming he's Middle Eastern American. Supposedly he is friends with Meghan McCain. This is the guy, hey Monty, this is the guy that came out with the book Ladies Who Punched, and it became like a New York bestseller. And supposedly he's friends with her. I was like, no wonder I haven't been invited to his booking party, but the other YouTuber who talks about The View gets invited, because I've always been very upfront with my commentary, and a lot of these media hacks, they don't like that, right? And so I tweeted him today. I'm like, how can you actually be friends with Meghan McCain when literally her father, his passion was to bomb Iran, or he's on video, saying like a racial slur to Iranians? How can you be friends with someone? That's like me being friends with Benjamin Netanyahu, the former prime minister of Israel, their kids. It's like me being friends with them. So I was like, no wonder I have not been invited. And I show my face when I talk about The View. The other one don't show her face, but she gets books and she gets invited. And I guess she's been, I guess she's like a former reporter. I don't know, but I was reading his little his interview that he done with her, and he said, "Full disclosure, I'm friends with her," and that kind of put me off guard. I'm like, why are you friends with someone that's not my business? But anyways, I see why I was invited to his little party thing, because I've been talking about The View for what I can say maybe 2.5 years now, and the other girl gets invited to the whole rendezvous, but I don't get invited. But so in the book, she talks about a whole bunch of stuff. She talks about Joy Behar, she talks about Whoopi. She indirectly talks about Anna Navarro and the fact that, she's a conservative, but not really conservative. And The View has been wanting to find a conservative that mainstream media would like. And it's actually been good for Anna Navarro, a corporate brand strategy. I don't find her to be a conservative. I never really thought she was a conservative from the first place. And she talks about her baby, and she talks about just why she left the show. And I've been talking about her for a pretty long time. When she came out, she left the show. She said, because she wanted to take care of her daughter, and her daughter, they've been in Washington, D.C. from this pandemic, and they've been doing this Zoom thing all along. And so she didn't want to move. But I've always thought there was more to the reason, because you don't just leave $1 million+ salary, your job. Your husband is a blogger, first of all, and he's using you to kowtow to different networks. And now he's on like Fox every now and then on their primetime show, or sometimes he's taking over for Laura Ingraham. So it's like, you're not going to leave a nice ass job that really won an Emmy, that was in the media for the best political show, in the media for like the #1 daytime show. You're beating all people across the board, from Ellen, you're beating Wendy, you're beating Dr. Phil, hell, probably Oprah. Like, you're beating all of these big timers. You don't leave a job like that. You just don't. So I thought it was more to the story. And of course, there's more to the story. I'm gonna say this. I've worked in a toxic work environment before, and it's not a good thing to work for. It's not. But I've learned to tolerate it. She talks about the reason why she left the show. The final straw was with Joy Behar, because Joy Behar told her that she does not miss her. She missed her zero after she came back from maternity leave. Me personally, that's kind of like a sissy would leave the show for that. I personally would not leave a show just because a co-host or all of them won't like me. As long as I'm getting my paycheck, I'm good. I've worked in toxic work environments. The job I had before was really toxic. I applied to be in management. The guy that hired me ended up quitting, and then this alleged pedophile ended up being my manager, and he stopped my growth. I was still getting upper pay from for management, but it just kept stopping. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse over time. So, but I'm comparing apples to oranges. I'm talking about a above minimum wage job versus a salary that's like $1 million+ a year. Ain't no way a Joy Behar, a Whoopi, a Sonny Hostin, a Sarah Haynes, a Anna Navarro is gonna let me leave a job. That's just me. That's just me personally. But I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for it because you have the hosts who don't like you. You have the viewerships, the Democrat, liberal, mainstream viewerships who don't like you. You have people behind the scenes on staff who really don't like you. So it's a lot to deal with. And I understand, like I said, because I've worked for a toxic work environment. And I always was the one that once it got too much, I went to HR, and like she did. She talked about going to HR. She talked about talking to Kim Godwin, who's the new president for ABC, and told her, hey, you need to change the culture of the show because this culture is going to become like Ellen style, meaning that the View is going to be seen as a show to be on, like how Ellen DeGeneres, how she fooled all you guys for 20 years. And later on, we found out that, well, y'all found out, I knew that the show was toxic and horrible as hell. So, me personally, I'm not going to leave over an 80-year-old woman telling me I don't miss you. I don't give a fuck. Look, one thing I know for sure is in this business, there's no such things as friendships. No matter if you lean on the same political aisle, if you lean on a different, there is no friendships in the game. Like literally, there's this Iranian guy who wrote the book called Ladies Who Punch, who's Iranian, but yet Meghan McCain's father loves to bomb Iran, okay? He loves to bomb them, all right? Loves to. And he's literally on video saying a racial slur about Iran, but he's friends with her, right? So, I mean, I was like, how can you be friends with somebody? That's like me saying I want to be friends with Benjamin Netanyahu, right? So that's one thing I know. There's no friendship in Hollywood. She talks about before she left, she said she gave Kim Godwin a list of conservatives to hire for the show. And she said, till this day, there's no conservative on the show. So does that mean she is, I'm assuming, shading her friend S.E. Cup, who is a supposed conservative on the show? Like she just did The View, right? S.E. Cup, correct? S.E. Cup just did The View, correct? So is that shade towards her? She talks about Anna Navarro. She didn't say her name, but I knew this was for Anna Navarro. She talks about how The View wanted to hire a conservative that people would like, and it worked. That's what Anna Navarro. I don't find Anna Navarro to be a conservative. I never did. I've always said that. I've never found her to be a conservative. I really don't know how someone who can escape Nicaragua and come here to the United States of America, but yet she still has socialist liberal views. And Anna Navarro is also friends with Don Lemon. And y'all know how I feel about Don Lemon. He's fake as fuck. And so what they say, you're friends who you like, right? I mean, when you're friends with somebody, you're pretty much the same, correct? I mean, so I kind of see her in the fake lane. Anna Navarro, I mean, she plays it well as not being fake. But of course, I heard some behind the scenes stuff about her, that I've shared before on here. But I'm just going to say it as that. But she's good at it. She's good at fooling the masses that she's a conservative woman, but yet she acts like she's a liberal and escaped communism from Nicaragua, married this pretty much count from Florida that's 75 years old, is a Republican and a Cuban Republican in Florida. Best friends with Don Lemon, who's fake as fuck as well. And so, two birds eat together. Let's just talk about it like that. So she's not a Republican. She's a liberal. I mean, come on now. And so she also talks about Whoopi. And I've said this before when I used to always cover the show with Whoopi shutting down her and everything. Like the first 2 years of The View, Whoopi used to always was a mother figure to her. Before Johnny McCain passed, he asked Whoopi, he was like, hey, can you make sure you look out for my daughter? Because I know how she is with her personality and everything. Whoopi promised John McCain that, hey, I'm gonna take care of Meghan McCain. So, and I've noticed that. I think you guys noticed that as well. Like whenever they got into fights, whenever she got into fights with Anna Navarro or the other hosts and so on and so forth, that Whoopi would be this motherly figure. She would be this motherly she would be this motherly figure to her. And that stopped, obviously, with the girl, please stop talking. And with the when she was talking about the Revolutionary War with George Washington and founding fathers coming together and comparing that to Meghan Markle and Oprah Winfrey, like these like high profile juggernauts overseas as well. She put those two together, and Whoopi responded with okay, and so that went viral, and that made Meghan McCain upset as well. So she talks about how Whoopi is this high profile TV figure, and if you cross her, that it's pretty much you're done with. Like, which is I can believe that, because every host pretty much that leans right, every host that sits in that chair on the right table, they're scared of Whoopi. They're scared. Why do you think Rosie O'Donnell don't want to be on The View? Because Rosie O'Donnell is a legend in her own right. She's not a conservative, but she doesn't tolerate Whoopi's shit. She don't. Why do you think Rosie O'Donnell was never invited to the show? But called them out on Twitter, and then on The View Twitter, they responded saying, oh, would you like to come this October? How are you going to respond to a legend like Rosie O'Donnell on social media, not invite her formally by email or through her publicist and say, hey, let's do it. Let's do a time on the show. But yet you're going to say that on social media. That's how fake as fuck they are. You see what I mean? So, so everybody's scared. Everybody's scared of Whoopi. And this is why nobody challenges. The only person I know that challenged her besides, well, Meghan didn't even challenge, is Jedediah Bila. That's it. They got rid of her though. So anytime you cross Whoopi, it's like all hell's loose. And this is a woman who I would think would have learned from her past mistakes of being blackballed. You would think she would have some sort of humility or be humble. But no one really challenges her on the show, and that needs to change. She talks about bringing The View to #1, y'all. And this is how petty Aaron Navarro is and The View team is. Right now, before I got here on Twitter, The View team ended up posting from ABCR Publicity that they are the #1 show in some bullshit household with women. I don't know. And Navarro posted that on her Twitter feed. She never does that, right? I've never seen her post that on her Twitter feed before. But she got shaded by Meghan McCain, shaded her in that interview. Brian Tito, who's the executive producer, that lied about the whole Kamala Harris situation, put that on his page. And it's like, we're going to see what Joy Behar is going to say tomorrow. So here's my thing with her. I personally didn't like her because she just reminds me of somebody that you got to compliment their ego so much in order for them to like you. She's kind of, to me, in my book, she's kind of like a Tamar Braxton, or like a diva. Like, she's like a diva, in my opinion. It's like, with a narcissist, you have to basically compliment them or say you love them or say this or that in order to up their ego. And that's how I see Meghan McCain. It was really not about her views unless she talks about Palestinians. That's the only time I really got pissed off at her. But other than that, besides her personality and besides her position on my people, that's really the only thing I really disliked about her. But, do I think she was qualified for the show? No. Do I think she set the bar lower than the low to be on the show? Yes. So I guess that's a good thing for the next conservative in line. Do I think that they're going to read the list that Meghan McCain gave the President Kim Godwin in terms of what the conservative host they should hire? No. Because Joy Behar and all the other hosts was on Entertainment Tonight, and they said, we don't want anybody that use their personal life as their commentary on the show. And Meghan McCain always used her friends or her father or whatever on the show. So they're not going to invite someone like Meghan McCain. They had Ebony K. Williams the other day. Horrible. She said she doesn't want to label her politics. She says she's a libertarian. No, girl, you're a whole liberal. You're not a libertarian. You're not a conservative. You're not an independent that leans right. Yesterday, she compared reality television, saying reality TV owes black people. No, you're not owed shit. Reality TV do not owe black people anything, okay? Like, I stated facts over emotions in terms of the growth of reality television. Cops was literally it, and still is literally the highest rated show reality TV 32 years ago, right? And so she was like, hey, they were on the backs of black women. You know, she looked at Sonny. I'm like, no, we don't need somebody sitting in that chair that's going to tout that bullshit propaganda, liberal bullshit. We don't need that. We need somebody else that's going to be on the right that would have said, nah, black people should not be owed by reality TV. Like what? Like The Real World, Cops, the Osbournes, the Kardashians. I keep going. So she pissed me off about that yesterday. And I rolled my eyes about that. She also, so this was all from the guy who wrote the book, Ladies Who Punch. And he was the #1 bestseller for that book. He worked for Variety. Like I said, he's from Iran. But yet he's best friends with Meghan McCain. I guess that's the business. I guess that's the rules of the game. You got to be friends with somebody, even though if you probably don't like them. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, he's friends with Meghan. I like the interview that he did. I just was kind of disappointed when he said he's friends with her. And I was like, he liked my tweet once. I was like, maybe this is why I was never invited to his New York stuff, because I'm too real with my commentary. And oh Lord. So she also talks about how nothing gets handled on the show in terms of, like, if you report something to HR, like, there's literally nobody to go to. And I could understand that, because I've been in those shoes before. Whenever you have a complaint about somebody who's really supposed to set the example and be your superior and know how to run shit, but then you talk to a higher up and shit don't get handled. So I get that. I understand where she was coming from when it came to that. She talks about Abby Huntsman, and she confirmed that Abby Huntsman actually was the token person to help Meghan McCain, like, to help calm her down. Like, Abby Huntsman was basically the puppet for Meghan McCain, right? To calm her down whenever she would fight on the show. Y'all, this was a tough job. This was a tough job to do. It's, you got a one girl who's making $1 million a year. You are tackling all of the corporate media hosts on the show: Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and who's the other one? Sarah Haynes. And then you're dealing with public scrutiny from mainstream media, which basically is the totality of American media. Then you're dealing with people behind the scenes who don't like you. So it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. It's really a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And she also talks about how there were leaks going on behind the scenes at the show. She didn't know who to trust. I remember at first Sonia Halston was blamed. Sonia Halston was blamed for the leak. Like, I remember earlier on when I was watching the show, you could tell that there was the body language with Sonny and Meghan. You could tell, like, something was going on. She said that she has some ideas as to who was leaking stories about her on the show. Now, I've got people that watch me that know people that work for ABC. I've gotten people that, say, hey, Meghan McCain is just how she is on camera as she is off camera. So, like, I knew she was like that. Like, I knew she was a pain and stuff like that. That time when Joy Behar told her, I don't miss you, I miss you zero. Like, Meghan McCain talked about how she burst into tears, and she yelled at the producer and said, hey, if you didn't want me to come back, y'all should have just said so. And she went downstairs or whatever the restroom was, and she started throwing up. And she had a huge panic attack. And she had to fake it on air and smile so people, like, when she came on, people won't notice. So she just goes in. Like, she literally goes in on how she was treated differently as a Republican. The guy did a great job. Like, I know he's Iranian. Like, it's not my business that he's friends with her. That's on him. If he want to be friends with somebody whose father didn't like Iran and likes to bomb Iran, and we know how she feels about her, that's on him. I mean, I can't speak for him. I can only speak for myself. Like they say, all kinfolk ain't skinfolk. Remember, like their little terminology, whatever. But then, Hollywood is fake. They do these fake friendships. So he did an awesome job. He did an awesome job talking about Meghan and the show and how it's like a toxic work environment. You write in your book that the view is a toxic work environment. She says, I feel like everybody knows that, and she's right. She says she feels like she has post-traumatic stress from having to feud with the president when my dad was dying, and then having to feud with the president after he died, and she hasn't fully healed. Ramin asked her, what are some examples of how you were treated differently on the show because you're a Republican? She says, it was the way topics were addressed. Each host picks a topic. They give you a list at night. I would probably choose the one that made Democrats look bad. It was much harder to get those on air because all the producers are liberal. All the hosts are liberal. The excuse is more people picked that topic. Of course, I'm outnumbered. I used to say this is crazy making. You've got to hire more Republicans on staff. I always stop for TV for the viewers watching. It benefits everybody to have more balance. I didn't feel like there was balance. I do recall on the show when she told Sunny Hostin, like, you're a liberal, you know, and Sunny was like, am I liberal? Sunny, we know you're a liberal. Come on now, girl. You're a liberal. Every show is about race. Every show is about student loan forgiveness or whatever. You're a liberal. It's obvious that there's 4 liberals against 1. It's very obvious. One thing I don't like about these mainstream shows is that it's never balanced. I wish they would have, like, I don't know, at least add one more, 2 conservatives that are actual conservatives, and have, of course, you have your liberals there. I feel like there's never a balance with these shows, ever. And so I feel her on that. Like, I really do feel her on that. She talks about, let's see, she says, what was it like being backstage, was asked. She said, people were not comfortable around me. I was there less than a month when the first article came out about me, about what a disappointment I was, and my nickname backstage was Elsa the Ice Princess from Frozen. My dad was dying of glioblastoma. I got permission from the network to take every other Friday off to go home to Arizona and help him get treatment. If I was called with this giant show with a group of strangers, I was trying to do well. There were never bad stories leaked out about anyone else. There was certainly bad behavior that could have leaked. Do you think all those women are peaches and cream in the morning? Are you effing kidding me? But it was always like Meghan is, I thought it was unfair. And I do agree. I think it was definitely unfair that stories would leak about her, because there was a story leaked about Sunny that was covered by someone else, about Sunny saying that she's the face of the show, allegedly, because Brian Theda got upset at Sunny, allegedly, because she was having a meeting, I guess, with the other team. And he was like, you're not supposed to have a meeting without me. And Sunny goes, well, I'm the face of the show. You see what I mean? Like, I'm the face of the show. That's what she said. So I do agree about her on that. And it really, let me tell you this, it upsets me. Like, I've been wanting to be in the media for most of my life. And it honestly upsets me that these days, even if you don't like somebody, you can't agree with them. Like, I don't have to like a Meghan, or I don't have to like a Barry Wise to say, hey, you know what, she's right here. You know, perfect example. Barry Wise was on CNN. They had a clip yesterday with Brian Stetler, and she talks about how the media is very corporate-like. For in other words, like, let's say you are on a liberal network like CNN, and you do a story about, I don't know, someone, a huge liberal in the media that comes out, whatever. That can ruin your reputation, because now you're speaking against your own politically, right? And Brian Stetler was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, if you don't sit your boot-looking, lollipop liquor sounding ass down, you know exactly what Barry Wise is talking about. You know damn well, if I go on CNN right now and I talk about Don Lemon, what he allegedly did, or if I talk about something about someone like a Whoopi or an Oprah in the media, I would be ostracized from liberal media. This is the same man that went on Stephen Colbert to promote his book by talking about his colleague, Chris Cuomo. Like, that's lower than the low. So he knew exactly what Barry Wise. Now, do I like Barry Wise as a person? No, but I agree with her. And it sucks these days that you can't agree with somebody that you probably aren't fond of. I'm not a cult person. I agree with Trump today. Trump made a post on his Twitter denouncing Colin Powell, saying his war criminal terrorist tactics that he did with the Iraqi war and how he's still respected. I agree. I'm not about to say rest in peace to Colin Powell, so please stop asking me about a terrorist. He is a terrorist. Stop asking me about Colin Powell. I don't have anything good to say other than he's a terrorist. This is why I didn't do a post. He's a terrorist, okay? Stop asking me about him, okay? So do I like Donald Trump? No. But do I agree with what he said in that statement today that I saw on Twitter? Yes, I agree. He's a terrorist. Colin Powell is a terrorist. No, he's not on Twitter. He had a statement that was published via Twitter. So stop asking me about Colin Powell. I don't care if you're black or white. You're still a terrorist. Then they have that terrorist called Condoleezza Rice coming on The View tomorrow. Like, no. Stop asking. I don't care if he's dead or not. He's a terrorist. So don't ask me about him. Like, if there's a reason, if I don't cover something, it's either because I don't want to cover it, because I'm going to say some bad things that may offend people, or it's because I just don't feel like doing it. So I was asked, I'm like, no, I don't like that terrorist. He's a terrorist. And I don't care. You can feel bad. There's one thing to feel bad and also be a terrorist killing millions of people. You can't bring that back by feeling bad. You can't. So that's one thing I disagree about mainstream media, is that whenever you agree with somebody you dislike, or you're not, and you have to say you dislike them in order for people to, oh, you're a sellout. Oh, you changed. Oh, no, I woke up. I didn't change. So yeah, so she talks about that. And I agree with Barry Wise when she went on CNN and spoke about that. She does not know till this day who's leaking the tabloids. She does not know. I mean, look, like I said, I've had people tell me that they know people that work for ABC that told me, hey, Meghan McCain is X, Y, and Z. And you know, so it's like, she said when she would be out in public going to the studio, she would run to the studio and close her door because she was paranoid. She also said after she had her daughter, she had anxiety. She thought her daughter was going to be kidnapped. She thought her daughter was going to be killed, kidnapped, and she thought about hiring bodyguards around her house just to protect her daughter. Now that's some serious stuff. Okay, that's a lot to go through. That's a lot to go through. That's definitely a lot to go through. She talked about complaining to Barbara Fredita, who is the woman I call Sonny Hawson Low Rent, and James Goldstein, who is the other person that allegedly defended Meghan McCain on the show. They basically told her that we don't know how to control it. That's what they said. Now, this confirms the rumors that Barbara Fredita and James Goldstein took up for Meghan. This, to me, that's confirmed it. She said Kim Godwin also almost talked me into staying. She seems like a great leader. When I was leaving, I gave her an explicit rundown of what's wrong with the show and what should change. She talks about Whoopi, and I just told you guys about Whoopi. She said Whoopi and her were not close starting the show, but they were warm and friendly. She said she has a lot of love and affection for Whoopi. She was surprised when I left. She yields an unfathomable amount of power in television and culture, and it felt at a certain point she didn't want me at the table anymore. It started with the girl, please stop talking incident. I remember when it happened, almost crying on the show. I never wanted to upset her. But I also wanted to be truthful about how I felt about politics and my perspective. And sometimes those two things couldn't coexist. At a certain point, I made a decision. It was more important to be honest than to be liked. I like this last statement that she said. At a certain, I made the decision. It was more important to be honest than to be liked. At a certain point, I made a decision. It was more important to be honest than to be liked. And that last sentence, when I read it, when I was reading that hit me to the core. Because it's like, you know, it's true shit in media. It's very true shit. It's like if you no longer, or if you say something that goes against the narrative of the Democrat, or let's say the Republican, or whatever party, it's like you're thrown potatoes. You know, you're being called bad stuff. You're people saying you're a racist or you're this and you're that. And I agree with her. And this is the cult-like thinking that I was talking about with whole Barry Wise and Brian Stetler when she was on CNN, when she talked about how liberal media, like the network I'm on now, CNN, you know, you can basically ruin your career and possibly your children's lives if you have kids if you say something that is out of bounds with the party or with the party, basically. I'm paraphrasing what she said. And that is true. At a certain point, I made a decision. It was more important to be honest. And exactly, that's what I'm doing. I made a decision it's more important to be honest and to be liked. That's true stuff. I've never wanted to be liked. I've always been like this in the workplace. The past job I had was toxic. The past job I had, the 2 other jobs before was toxic. I don't do friendships at work. I do my job and I go home. I don't fuck with you after I clock out. That's how I've always been. I'm not here to make friends, you know. And so, yeah, it's like it's better to be honest, in my opinion, than to be liked for being fake, for not who you are. And I wholeheartedly agree with her when she talks about that. So Raymond, he did a really good job. Y'all call him Raymond, but that's how you say it in my dialect. He really did a great job. I was kind of disappointed that he was friends with her, and I probably ruined my chance of having him on my show because I tweeted him that. I was like, why would you be friends with somebody when her father was literally on record on YouTube? You can look it up, saying a racial slur to Iranians, and he just loves to bomb the Middle East. Just loves, loves. So that's like me being friends with Benjamin Netanyahu kids. Like, I'm not about to be friends with his kids. I'm not. So I don't know, but that's not my business. That's the fakery of it all. So Ramin asked her, how do you feel about the please stop talking incident? She says, it was horrible. To her credit, Whoopi apologized the next morning. I would apologize when I messed up. I effed up a lot on that show. She starts crying when she said that. I don't know why I'm getting emotional talking about this. A lot of this feels like such a waste. It was humiliating for me, and I'm a serious person. I felt like I was being talked to like I was a child and a brat. And when things go viral on Twitter, people write things, it really does impact you. I felt very lonely. So I can understand her emotions on this because her father died, her aunt passed away, and she had a miscarriage, and that's between all with being on the show, right? And she really didn't have the time to actually like sit down and like grieve. I can also understand, not to the extent that on her level, but with my YouTube, that if I say something and it's like, all hell breaks loose. So I get you. I get her when she says, if I felt very lonely. She has her husband, who, however I feel about that man, but she got her man at least, whatever. She has her mother, she has her family, whatever. I'm just by myself. So, but she says, I love Whoopi. I felt at a certain point she stopped respecting me, and it was hard. She says, I don't know why I'm crying so much. I wish things could have been different. I know she had her own dark times when I was on the show. She almost died of pneumonia. I wish we had better leadership that could have stopped a lot of it. And that's just the history of the show. Like, Elizabeth Hasselbeck walked off the show, and she said the same thing about Barbara Walters. She was like, Barbara Walters treated me like a child, like I'm a brat, and she was about to quit. Question is, when you say better leadership, who are you talking about? Meghan says Brian Tita, the executive producer, tries, and he's a very decent person. I feel like no one could control anything. She says, did you know? Well, she was asked, did you know you're going to leave The View when you wrote this book? She says, I didn't know. I was going to leave until my second day back from maternity leave when Joy told me that nobody missed me, zero. That was the day I decided. She says, me and Joy got along fine at first. There were pockets of time when Joy and I had a great relationship. We have foundational things that are similar. We both are strong. We are both unemotional. Neither of us like talking about our personal life on camera. I found a lot of synergy between us as women, and things turned during COVID. I think it's easier to solve problems in person. So she's saying that things turned, meaning that they were on Zoom, and it was different to solve problems on Zoom versus in person. She talks about the day when Joy unraveled with her on air. She said she had postpartum anxiety. When I was back, I was really nervous. She said it was like starting TV all over again. I felt unsteady. I was trying to make a joke. You missed me so much. If you watch the clip, her reaction is very sharp. I can't explain what it felt like. The people in the room with me in the DC borough, there was a sound engineer and the hair and makeup artist. The sound woman looked shell-shocked at what she's seen. So she describing the time when Joy said she didn't miss her. And she cried bad. Meghan cried after that during the commercial, lactating. I did end up being able to go back on air. I remember Dr. Sanjay Gupta, the man that basically was on Joe Rogan's show and admitted at his network, CNN Live, which is another example of me agreeing with Barry Wise and you know, against Brian Stelter. And he looked weirded out. He went out of his way to be nice to me. After the show, I went back to my office and I had a panic attack. I couldn't stop crying, and I'm not always crying. I couldn't compose myself. I threw up in the garbage can. I was so overcome. This is my narrative. I came back from my maternity leave and no one missed me. I knew it was going to be everywhere. I was just so confused because women, when they have babies, should be treated respectfully when they come back to work. And Joy did not want to apologize. Joy did not want to apologize. I asked for an apology from our executive producer and her producer. They said she wouldn't do it. I don't know if they asked her, though, but she, why do you think Joy was mad at you? She says, I don't know. She might have hated me. And she also thanked Abby Huntsman and Sunny Hawson in her book. She says, I have a legitimate friendship and sisterhood with both those women outside of the view. At first with Sunny, I don't think it was a legit friendship. I wish Ramin would have asked her, but that's what him being friends with her, you know, that's, you know, I guess there's certain things you can ask, but it was pretty evident that Sunny and her didn't get along. I mean, it was in the blogs that allegedly the president, James Golson, told Sunny, if you can't get along with Meghan, then you can't be on the show. And with Abby Huntsman, they had a fight behind the scenes because Abby was always talking about her kids. And at that time, Meghan McCain was going through that miscarriage. And so that affected Meghan. And Abby was supposed to be the person, the puppet for Meghan to make her feel good. So they had a fight behind the scenes. And so, whoo, y'all, this is too much drama. This is too negative and toxic for me. Like, I can't deal with this. This is too much. Let me read y'all comments because I know y'all talking stuff. Let's see. It's funny how an article came out the other day saying the View's ratings is horrible. Then the ABC PR Publicity came out with an article saying that they're doing well. Hey Felicia, how are you? Let's see. What y'all saying? Yeah, she was so easy to dislike. She was. I mean, she really was so easy to dislike. Like me personally, like with her, she's very neurotic. Like she would have these conversations with them on air and debate, and she would actually call them after the show and still be mad about it and still like it's kind of like method acting. It's like, and you're playing a character, and once you're done with the scene, you can't let loose. You're still that character, and I feel like that's how she was as a person. Like she just couldn't let it go. Kind of like how her mother said her brother threw her against the door because she kept messing with him, and then once that happened, she stopped. After Elizabeth Hasselbeck left, why do you think it took so long to find a Republican who worked? Because what they want, okay, this is to me was very important. She says, because what they want and what they need are different things. They want someone who is not, this is where she shaded Anna Navarro. They want someone who is not a real conservative because they'll be easier to get along with. You don't fight as much. What they need is someone who's actually representing people in Kentucky and Arizona. I was told when I was left, they were looking for a real conservative. I gave them a list. None of tested, by the way. So I'm not sure if that's a shade to SE Cup because SE Cup was on the show recently. Do I find her to be conservative? No. So I think that was a shade because she goes, they want someone who is not a real conservative because they will be easier to get along with. SC Cup got along with everybody. She got along with everybody on that show, right? And I wish they can find a conservative that is from, I don't know, middle America, like someone that I would come across with, I don't know, across the street or whatever, saying, and I can hear their views, talking about communism, about socialism, about being pro-life, someone that's real, someone that's actually the real person that you would come encounter with in real life. I feel like, with these damn conservative hosts, Ebony, SC Cup, who else? Mia Love, Catherine Ham, who else I'm missing, they weren't, to me, in my opinion, they weren't conservative. They were not, they were not, nah. Aaron Navarro, definitely. She says that Barbara Fredita, the woman who told Sonny that she's low rent, told me to smile more. Things about my hair and clothes. I would wear brighter colors in my exit interview. The last thing I told Kim, you've got to change the culture on the show, or the culture is going to change you, Ellen style. They've got to start changing things or it will not survive. Do you think The View is bad as Ellen? She says, in a different way, yeah. I don't think anyone should walk into work environment where they feel like they can't have a bad day without it being blasted over the internet, painting them out to be a psycho. I don't think you should feel disliked or ostracized for not voting for Obama. The liberal media bubble is real. No one walks away from a giant contract like the one I had if it was good. Exactly. Exactly. Obama is seen as this mascot, as this perfect American, non-scandalous, Bill Cosby, marriage, Huxtable family. And it's like anytime you say, something like you didn't vote or you disagree or I call him a warmonger or whatever, it's so I get her. Another thing is her rhetoric towards Dr. Fauci. In some way, I felt that Meghan McCain did not explain the way she actually feels about certain individuals, and one of them was Dr. Fauci, because they allegedly had a meeting behind the scenes afterwards. And to me, Dr. Fauci is not credible. I find him annoying. I don't find him to be a doctor. I don't find him credible. He lied to us. And I just think that everybody see him as this fluke. And so by me saying that on air, that's not seen as the liberal rhetoric or the monologue that they would like to have on ABC. And so they had a problem with Meghan McCain talking about Dr. Fauci the way she talked about him. And that's another. It's like freedom of speech is non-existent when it's against the narrative of the party you are affiliated with. And so I personally felt like she was like that. She felt that way. Would you consider going back? She says, no, that's not going to happen. Someone else should get a shot. They should be conservative women opportunities to be on TV. It should be giving conservative women opportunities to be on TV. She says, no, she does not watch the show. It would be like looking at an ex-boyfriend's Instagram. I mean, some people look at their ex's Instagram just to see who they're with. What's the point? She says. So this was this was a really great interview that he's done. Obviously, they're friends. I mean, he said that they're friends, obviously. I'm going to paste a link if anybody want to come on. Like I said, I did not enjoy Ebony. I actually tweeted a girl yesterday, and she looked at my tweet, and she saw him like, why they have Ebony in the conservative seat? I don't know, because she's not a conservative. I don't know. Why they had SC Cup in a conservative seat? She's not a conservative. So I don't know why she was in that seat. I really don't know. Honestly, I do wish her well. Like I wish her happiness in life. I really do. I personally said some things about her that wasn't so nice. And I can get carried away sometimes, whatever. She talks about maternity leave as well. She said even before she got pregnant, she felt like maternity leave was a thing that should coexist in workplaces, and it's a problem in the Republican Party. So she did mention that she felt this way before she became pregnant. I know there was like people in the media, I was one of them, that said that, you know, she only wanted maternity leave after she had the baby. She says that the Republican Party is all about being pro-family, so why isn't maternity leave something that's in workplace policies? You know, so her book is not even yet out yet. She's getting all of this storm. This is just an interview. I don't like. I ain't look. This is an. I think she said enough. I don't know what else she's gonna say in the book. So yeah. So she talked too much. I think she also talked about how she was forced to interview Donald Trump Jr. even after he attacked her father. Y'all remember when she was on the show and she was very timid. And I think during that time, she did say her aunt passed away. But I mean, if I'm in front of a person that literally said X, Y, and Z about my father, I would have went ham on air. That day, them ratings would have been gold because I would have went ham on his ass. I really would. And so she didn't. She didn't do that, you know. She says she was asked by Ramin, why do you think there's so much drama backstage at The View? And this also took me, I'm like, wow, okay. She says, my take on the problems of The View are that it is a show. She says, it is a show. It is a show with a lot of demons that started in the beginning, and none of those demons have been exorcised. I want to share an anecdote with you. I ran into Rosie O'Donnell at the premiere of Frozen on Broadway. She said, how's the show going? I said, you know, and she goes, it's not nearly as fun as it should be. That always stuck with me. This is something that's supposed to be really fun, and it's not at all. It's a show that there's an expectation you won't survive. When you come in as a host, you are a rotating peg on a carousel, and you'll be in and out. It doesn't breed an environment where you are closed. It feels siloed. Okay. There was no collaboration. I think being on The View is a great opportunity despite the drama. I really do. I think every workplace has its pros and cons, like every workplace. I think with her is that from reading this, I kind of feel like she did mention that, and she didn't mention in one excerpt that I read that, you know, she apologized if she said something wrong to Whoopi or whatever. But I kind of feel like she's playing victim. Like, and she always does that. She's playing victim. It's not like I'm saying just because it's even on air when they would talk about personal stories, or it don't even got to be personal. It don't even got to be about their sex life. It could just be about dating or about being in the industry, about body positivity. And she just would never want to engage in topics that's outside of politics. And that's part of the job. And if had someone else did that, then they would probably be fired or told something behind the scenes saying, hey, you got to participate. This is in your contract. But with her, it's like with her being the daughter of a past senator, I don't think someone would have gotten away with a lot of stuff had they weren't been John McCain's daughter. She says it's a toxic work environment. She says, I feel like everybody knows that. You can watch the show and see that it's unhinged and disorganized and rowdy. It feels extremely isolating because of my political ideology. I was the only conservative on the show. The third year, they ended up hiring a producer for me who was also conservative. I need to put the context in. I was working on a show as the only conservative during the Trump years. I felt like a lot of people took out their anger on the administration on me because I was the only person in the building who was a Republican. I felt like I was too many degrees of separation close to Trump, despite the fact that everyone who worked on the show saw firsthand how much President Trump and his family put me through emotionally. I felt like I had post-traumatic stress from having to feud with the president when my dad was dying, and then having to feud with the president after he died, and I haven't fully healed. And so Look, like I said, I wish her well. I wish her the best. It is what it is. Hey, yes, I talk about her every day, and I've said I've talked about her, especially when she said something that I didn't like in regards, in regards to just my people or whatever. Or it's and it's not just Meghan; it's all the other hosts. Like they didn't invite Linda Sarsour on. They had the when they had the women's movement, women's march. They only invited Tamika Mallory and the white chick. That's it. They invite women, and what they call Linda Sarsour anti-Semitic. So it's like I've said some things. I know I've said some bad things about her. I've never said I haven't. I hate tell-all books. I feel like they should have trash people to sell. It makes me not think the shows are like people. Yeah, and she said she hate, and she did tell Mary Trump she does not like tell-all books. She did say that. I mean, this book isn't solely on The View. It's about The View. It's about her miscarriage, I think. It's about having her daughter and getting married and dealing with her father's death. So it's more than just on The View. I'm only interested about The View. That's it. But me personally, I can understand why she left. I really can understand why she left. Like toxic work environment, like no amount of money can make you happy. And she also talked about how she has privilege to leave a job that's toxic. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have a privilege to leave a job unless they found one. Like I didn't have the privilege for that. The job before last, the job that I had before during the beginning of the pandemic was the first job I ever left a 2-week notice in. And this is because they really don't teach you in school to leave a 2-week notice, or like it's very I don't know about y'all, but to me it's like when you're about to quit a job, don't you get that anxiety, or don't you get that that just I don't know. You just get that bad feeling of, damn, I got to go up to the boss and I got to tell him that I'm leaving, yada, 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 yada. You see what I mean? And so it's like, but the jobs I had before was never like professional jobs. It was like menial fast food restaurant type of jobs. It was never like professional. But from now on going forward, like had it been like something in media, then of course, like you don't just leave a job without a plan or putting a 2-week notice in. Hey Squill, how are you? So I wish her the best. Like I said, I don't have problems. If I've seen her across the street, I would tell her hello, I guess. I don't know. And I don't know. I just really don't like the way the media is right now. I don't like the climate of the media. I don't like that it's like you get ostracized for, speaking your mind or saying something. I don't like this cancel culture BS. I really don't like the narrative of Joy Behar calling me, or Sunny Hostin calling me the Trump mind, because I have hesitancy towards this vaccine. And so I definitely can feel Meghan on this, but it's like she said on TV when Wendy was on one time, after Wendy had that divorce, she was on The View. She was like, I don't think women should be nice on television. So I mean, you wanted this persona of being the strong woman debating for other women on the show, and it's like this is what you get. Like this is the narrative you get, and this is what you get when you deal with that. So it is what it is, and I wish her well. I wish The View hires an actual conservative. Aaron Navarro is not a conservative. She's not a conservative, literally. I don't. Can someone tell me in the comments what conservative belief she ever said on the show? I really don't know. I know she supported the Bushes, but okay, Florida has always been a red state. I'm from Florida. That doesn't make you conservative if you've resided in Florida, Nicaragua. That's just from you following in line with the state, because it's always been a red state. So I don't know what makes her conservative. I really don't know. I really don't know. I see her husband gave a shout out to Governor DeSantis for putting a flag up for the terrorist Colin Powell. Okay. But I mean, it's like, I really don't know what makes Aaron Navarro a conservative. I really don't. All right, but I do have somebody in the queue. What's up, my friend? Hey,
Hey, how are you?
you froze.
Hey,
Go ahead. Go ahead. What's up? What you want to
I'm
say?
frozen.
No, you're good now. You were before, but you're good.
I just wanted to say hi.
You just wanted to say hi. That's it. Are you you're squeal, huh?
Yeah, and
Oh,
yeah.
your audio is kind of
Oh,
shaky.
are you frozen now?
No, I'm not frozen. You are. Your audio is kind of
Oh,
shaky.
okay. Well, I'll
Yeah, but
leave
I
you
do appreciate your nice comments. I do appreciate that, you know.
anytime, my friend. Don't hate, don't hate the haters. They just love
Don't
you.
hate the haters. I call them roaches. That's what I call them. That's what I call them, roaches, you know.
Okay,
I mean, huh? Go ahead.
I'll see you later, my friend.
All right. Thank you for coming on. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I call them roaches because, you know, I mean, I can feel how Meghan is feeling. I can understand, you know, that you have the other viewpoint of the show, and I feel like with the other hosts with the guest host that's been conservative, I feel like they had to be apologetic with their views in order to be accepted. I felt like the girl Alyssa Farah, who worked for the Trump administration, had to say that she didn't vote for Trump in order for them to accept her. And it's like, nah, she don't need to say that. You don't need to explain yourself to people. You just come on there and say the opposing end. Like I don't need to explain my feelings towards people. I really don't. Um, and so yeah, so I wish her well. Um, I wish Meghan McCain well. I wish the View well. I hope they actually hire an actual conservative on the show instead of having these a D-list conservatives or um, trying to buy a red velvet cake, but it being a carrot cake. That's me describing Aaron Navarro as a conservative. So yeah, and that's the end on that. Thank you so much for watching. And I think her book comes out next week. I think the Audible actually comes out next week. But I really don't know what else she has to say besides what the guy interviewed for. I really don't. But thank you so much for watching. Deuces.